listening to the Racing Virginia podcast. Now, here are your hosts.
I'm Dave C.
And I am Brandon Brown. Most definitely, especially this weekend, not the NASCAR driver.
Hey, but you know what? 43 points above the line.
Yeah, one race to go.
Man, would that be nice?
to get that hometown Fredericksburg team into the NASCAR playoffs in the Xfinity Series.
Speaking of Xfinity Series, man, what a weekend! I know you. I've done it before, so I know you're burned out.
You know what?
Probably not. Well, look, probably not as much as you normally would be, because in a non-COVID situation, you would have done more stuff yourself in the infield and stuff like that.
Yep, absolutely. So we had NASCAR playoffs weekend at Richmond Raceway this past weekend. 4 races in 3 days, which sounds really daunting. My responsibility normally is going around and creating content the entire weekend, talking to fans, getting their perspectives, showcasing everything on social media. Half of the weekend was just not there, just because there was no practice, there was no qualifying, there were no fans, there was no anything except for on-track action during the 4 races.
And the majority of stuff that you were able to do was actually from the outside of the track. Because how the employees at this track, and I know they're doing, NASCAR is doing a great job.
Yes, they are,
with the COVID-19 protocol. Mm-hmm. But the employees of the racetrack, which NASCAR owns, can't get in the infield. That just blows my. I mean, it's not because you have it. To get, and last Tuesday, prime example, when we did the show.
Yep.
I had to go through COVID-19 protocol.
You certainly did, sir.
Signed a lot of paperwork. I mean, if you go through that protocol, and you had to do it every day.
Yes, I did.
You had to do it every day. I don't understand why you couldn't go in the infield. That just blows my mind. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to limit the contact of everybody. But the problem is that, like you would be doing stuff from probably farther than 6 feet.
Yes. So here's why, and I'll give you a couple good examples of why. I actually had an infield sticker that I didn't know about the first day. Oh. So I did not go in the infield the first day, and even when I did go into the infield, they were very strict on who goes in and what's going on and everything. So if you had certain people go into the infield who weren't quote unquote essential and had nothing to do, it raised the possibility of them going up and talking to team members and talking to drivers that they might not should have been doing, and the drivers themselves are on especially big lockdown compared to what the teams are. So we didn't want to and again, NASCAR has done a great job to eliminate people who are work here in Richmond to infiltrate the many bubbles that each of the teams had with their teams and drivers and members and all that good stuff. But great weekend of racing after I figured out the lay of the land and what I could and couldn't do. It was really, we stayed social distance. They had a great plan in place. And then we saw some awesome racing with the trucks, 2 Xfinity Series races, and then the Cup Series race. We had domination on Saturday, and some really, really good strategy races, I think, across the board.
The Gander RV and Outdoor Truck Series Toyota Care 250. For those guys not being, how do you put this, having, in fact, the majority of them, probably 98% or more of the drivers, had never turned one lap on this track. And for that, I know there was probably a few more cautions than they probably would have liked. I mean, because they always like to go, have strategy. Like
the teams do.
Yeah, the teams do. But it really, to be honest with you, they put on a good show.
Yeah.
And it's not like some one guy just kind of ran away with it.
No.
It wasn't settled until the very end.
And that was kind of the theme of the entire weekend was strategy, setting the tone for it. You had Teammates Matt Crafton, who was one of the only drivers who had ever raced in the Truck Series here, out front. And then Grant Enfinger, his teammate, tracked him down and passed him in the winning laps of the race and went on to win it. And that was kind of what happened the entire weekend. You move on to Friday night.
Now, I will say, my buddy Justin Allgaier.
Yeah. Hey, it's my buddy Justin Allgaier.
Okay, well, your buddy. Well, but the funny thing is, that's probably the first driver that we both have a connection with.
Like, yeah. For
you
sure.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Justin from Springfield, Illinois. I worked up at Chicagoland.
Yeah. With my Dirt Nation podcast that I had, I interviewed Justin a million times.
Yep.
And just one of the most genuine guys you ever want to meet.
Genuine, nicest, pleasant, always happy to see you.
Yeah,
like
I know.
you would be friends with him like in real life. Like if you,
absolutely, absolutely. I don't want to say domination, but
it will.
Let's just say this.
Do.
Let's just say this. The Xfinity races were good if you just didn't watch the first place guy.
Yeah, especially on Saturday.
Because there was a lot of you know what upset me? I forget which commentator said it, but he goes, "Oh, they're racing 3 wide here at Richmond. You can't do that." How many? He must not have been at this racetrack more than once, because it happens regularly on this track.
Yeah, like you can make it work. I've seen 3 wide in the corner.
I have seen 3 wide in turn 2, and that's hard to do.
It is very hard to do. But if you saw we haven't had day races here in a little bit, in a few years, but the last day race that we had here, they were utilizing all 3 lanes of the track. You had drivers like Ricky Stenhouse running the top of the track in the corners, but the racing here was really good behind the leaders, especially on Saturday. As Justin Allgaier swept the weekend, swept a doubleheader, the first doubleheader Xfinity Series event in Richmond Raceway history. And I tell you, the Friday night race, he played it perfectly because he saved his stuff just enough to go. And I was listening to the radio and stuff, and they decided to go with like 15 to go. And he just went up there, passed Justin Haley, got the lead, and then went on to win. And then survived a late race restart after having like a 10-second lead. So his car was as dominant as I've seen a car in person in the Xfinity Series.
The Cup Series Federated Auto Parts 400 was a phenomenal race.
Yeah. Strategy, no natural cautions. You had 40 of the best stock car racers in the world not running into each other, which was kind of surprising, but it left the door open for a bunch of different pit strategy that saw comers and goers and a bit of tire fall off. The tire didn't lay down any rubber, which was really, really weird, but it did fall off towards the end of a run. And Brad Keselowski got his second Cup Series win, beating Martin Truex, his teammate Joey Logano, and a surprising, probably not to him, but a surprising Austin Dillon, who, save for a couple mistakes, could have probably won that race.
And I mean, but there were a lot of storylines there.
Yeah,
really a lot of storylines, and to go to Bristol and that be a cutoff? Oh, Lord have mercy. Do you think that there's going to be a little beating and banging?
I think that there's definitely going to be a little beating and banging, especially if you've got a couple drivers on the bubble who are driving close to each other at the end of the race. You've got guys like Matt DiBenedetto and Ryan Blaney who run really well at Bristol, who are going to basically need a win to advance into the next round of the playoffs. So those guys are definitely going to be running into each other. Maybe they won't. But yeah, Bristol's going to be fun, especially if you watch the spring race. You had a little incident at the front of the field with Joey Logano and Chase Elliott that opened the door for Brad Keselowski earlier this year. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun at Richmond. It was weird. It was really, really weird with no fans. I had somebody text me. It's like, hey, you get the whole track to yourself. And I'm like, I don't like it that way. I like sharing the race weekend with all of the fans and the energy that they bring and the excitement and stuff, and going up there and hanging out with them. Even when you're working, you can go up there, find a spot, and watch the race a little bit. But it was really weird to be there, eerily quiet in the grandstands before the race started. But again, we did what we had to do, and can't wait to have the fans back here next year.
And if you're going to look at a silver line, a positive, you had 4 great races.
Yep.
Hopefully the TV numbers will show that they were good.
Yep.
And because of no fans, Langley and Dominion ran shows, and you normally wouldn't get that on a Saturday night.
Sure, absolutely.
So it gave them the ability to race, and they had some good. Peyton Sellers won both at Dominion.
Okay.
Mark Wirtz picked up a win at Langley, and who was the other guy that won? I can't remember. But they didn't have the same winners. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And a little bit of a controversy at Langley.
I saw that.
I don't even know.
What happened?
I don't know.
Call Vaughn. Ask him what happened.
I don't. We might have to at the very end, real quick, and so he can get his opinion in there. I mean, there was. I guess somebody jumped a start and it caused an accident, or I don't know.
It happens.
It happens all the time. We got a great show for you. We're gonna switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
We were gonna have Jay Cox out of Smithfield, North Carolina. He was going to talk about this week's Comp Cam Shakedown Nationals presented by Fuel Tech.
Nice.
Can you believe that? I remembered that.
Right there.
Because it's
if you could see the screen right now, it's
flying by me right now. So we're gonna switch it up a little bit. We're gonna have Tyler Crossnoe.
Yep.
He is the vice president of Virginia Motorsports Park, and I just got Tommy Franklin.
Oh yeah.
Remember we said we needed to talk to him a little bit more, because we never even scratched the surface about his racing.
Yep.
We really didn't. Mm-hmm. So we'll have him back on, and we have Matt Mills.
Okay, Matt Mills from
Lynchburg, Virginia,
who races the number 5 in the aforementioned Xfinity series, who just raced here at Richmond Raceway, and he picked up a couple of great finishes. So we thought that we would have him on and talk to him about it.
And you know what? I have no idea that he was from Lynchburg, Virginia. That just, I mean, how many?
Mm-hmm.
Let's point out. We got Brandon Brown.
Yep.
We have Matt Mills. We have Jeb Burton. We have Harrison. I'm just saying. I know he lives in North Carolina. Once removed. Who else we got?
Quinn Huff. Yeah.
Hauff. Yeah. Quinn Hauff. And by the way.
And Hall of Famer Denny Hamlin, remember.
Yeah. I got to say this because I know you listen to him too. Door Bumper Clear.
Yeah.
From Dirty Mo Media.
Yes, sir.
Some spotters that come on and talk. In fact, we're going to call Frank Denny.
Yeah. For 2 things: his racing career and his mentorship of a lot of drivers here in the state of Virginia, and also he is a spotter. Oh yeah. Yeah. For who? Ricky Stenhouse. So let's, you know what? Let's get this party rolling. All right. Should we do Tyler or Tommy first? Let's see. Let's do Tyler first. All right. That way we can get all the info. What do you think? Yeah. Let's talk about the what's the name of the race again? You remember? Come on. Yeah. It's the Comp Cams. See, you know better, Tyler. We need to give you at least some kind of intro. I'm excited, man. It's race week. It's race week every week for you guys. Man. How many cups of coffee he got him already? Yes, sir. It's Monday on race week. You got to be excited. There you go. I told Tyler last night. I said, man, you got to bring your A game. Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like he's off to a really good start. Because remember last time, after your interview last time, Tyler, we got off, and after the show ended, we go, maybe we need to do a segment with Tyler on a regular basis. Hey, let's do it. I told you he would do it. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's introduce the race. How about that? Yeah. So we're kind of you're batting cleanup.
or you were supposed to bat cleanup.
Yeah, now you're leading off.
Now you're leading off.
Oh, well. And the bad part is I'm going to have to bring the heat because you got a North Carolina boy coming on next. So it's like, oh, man, you can't let them come in here and try to play ball.
Well, I had to – look, we had to switch it up totally, dude. Jay is actually, unfortunately, at a truck wreck, I guess on a wrecker. That's
yeah. I hate to hear about the crash, but I'm also glad to hear that Jay's actually working. So that's actually good for him.
Man.
So you know what he does? He goes, call Tommy. so guess what? We're going to revisit with Tommy Franklin as well because
So is he racing now?
yeah, Tommy's going to be racing in this.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yep. Tommy is coming off of a win at the last PDRA race here a couple of weeks ago, so he's going to try to. I'm sure he'll be trying to go back to back here at VMP. So can't ever tell about Tommy. He'll be a tough one.
Perfect.
It is the 18th annual, I believe it is. Comp Cam's Shakedown Nationals presented by Fuel Tech, and I didn't even look.
Nah.
You know, I got it memorized.
That was good.
We did have to read the Roman numeral a couple times to decipher it, but we think we got it.
But a big event, to say the least, this weekend. Some
very historic race.
Some really good talent going to be there.
For sure. It's a very historic race. This race actually started in New Jersey at Englishtown at Old Bridge Township Raceway Park. Dave Hance created this event from the start. Dave was the promoter for 10 years and had some stuff come up. He was ready to bow out, so he passed the event over to Bill Bader at Summit Motorsports Park in Norwalk, Ohio. And Bill had it for 5 or 6 years. And then we picked it up last year when Bill was ready to pass the torch on. So this is our second shot at it at an event that is known for setting world records and being an awesome event. I actually went and raced this event 3 years ago at Norwalk. And I went and raced Ultra Street with my old Fox body up there and actually runnered up and missed the Shakedown trophy at Norwalk by like .003 at the finish line. But,
oh no!
But see,
that's one of those that I wish I could have back.
Tyler, this is something we didn't talk about the first time we talked to you. I had no idea you had a racing background. As a racer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started bracket racing when I was 16 years old.
He said,
and then
it
was all right. I didn't do any good bracket racing. We don't talk about that side. But then a couple of years ago, I built the Ultra Street Fox body, ran that class on 275 drag radials, and that was actually the best race I had. We went to the finals there and had a very competitive car. Had a lot of races, but it was a fun time. Ended up selling that car, and now we're all full bore in the promotion and racetrack game, so can't play too much anymore.
For you and this event, kind of let everybody know what they could expect from this. I mean, I'm looking at some of the cars, especially the Pro Mods. Man, those things are badass, and just to see those cars would be worth the price of admission. Oh,
100%. So you have Pro Mod that really is your knowledgeable, known of class that's beating on the door to the 350s and a ton of cars running the 360s at over 200 miles per hour in the 8th mile. But then a lot of people, some of the common knowledge drag race fans don't have knowledge of radial versus the world. It is actually a radial tire that measures in about 11 inches in width, 11 to 12 inches in width, and they have the same power plants as Pro Mod, close to the same weight. Some of them are less, some of them are more, and you'll see those cars running in the 350s. Actually, last year they were the fastest cars we had. We set the national record in radial versus the world last year at this event, going 357 with a nitrous car.
I think I remember that. I think I remember seeing that because it ended up in the papers as well.
Yes, and we're actually the only race on the planet right now that will put Pro Mods and radial versus the world beside each other and race them side by side for a shootout. And we do that on Friday night with Judgment Day. And that's a deal where basically the top 8 qualifiers in Pro Mod and the top 8 qualifiers in Radio versus the World will draw chips, see who they get to run, and whichever team wins splits up $10,000.
Wow!
And see, that reminds me, as a fan, as a drag racing novice, of the NMRA versus NMCA Super Bowl. How they split those guys up, and at the end of that event, do kind of the same thing.
Yes, exactly. You run out and go for the rings up at the NMCA deal, and which I've helped on a car that's running that. It's a very, very awesome program that they do over on that side. But yeah, this deal is really cool because you have guys that will race against each other that never ever have lined up beside each other. Like, wow. I'm really good friends with a lot of the radio guys. I've been in this market for 10 years, and those guys have never raced with Tommy Franklin, John Strickland. And it's really cool because you get to think at all times, man, I wonder what Jay Cox would do beside Marcus Bird or Stevie Jackson or anything like that. And you actually get to see that play out. And it was crazy because we all joked around last year saying, man, wouldn't it be cool to see Marcus Bird and Tommy Franklin run each other in this deal, because they were both nitrous cars. They were both number 1 qualifier. You know, it's the 2 fastest cars on the property. Who wouldn't want to see that race?
Absolutely.
And we're sitting there all joking around going, well, you know, what's the fate in that happening? Well, they all draw chips. We start calling out 1 step forward, 2 step forward, etc. And we get down to the end, and Tommy and Marcus are the last pair that go down. And it was absolutely incredible just to see those 2 cars blast down the racetrack beside each other. Marcus actually got the win, but Tommy ripped the Christmas tree down and cut him up on a hole shot. So it was a really close race.
Oh, man.
There's a little bit of redemption that Tommy wants to have this weekend. Be sure to ask him about that, because he'll get him fired up.
We certainly will.
And by the way, are you guys going to be able to have at least some fans there?
Yes, we do have spectator tickets. We kind of are pushing everybody to buy online, of course, just to make the touchless operations and stuff like that, as we've done over the past couple of months. And we are able to have fans. Our rules are pretty simple. We have seating for 15,000, so our numbers are in a good spot to where we can handle this event and really shouldn't have to turn anybody away. We don't really see that having to be an issue with our capacity numbers and how that we're doing our social distancing plan. And we've gone through our grandstands and marked green stripes and red stripes as to where you can sit for proper distancing, no standing on the fence, restricted areas are closed, or the starting line being clean and not having crowds around the starting line, and stuff like that. So really a pretty easy layout as far as for the fans. It's just, man, you come up, get your ticket online, walk in, one of our representatives will scan your barcode, and you're off to the races. And that's as simple and easy as it gets for admittance into a drag race these days that has been hard over the past couple of months. It's been for a lot of racetracks and a lot of places all across the country, it's been a struggle just to say, hey, we can sell tickets, much less, hey, what do we do once the people get here?
Yeah, and when we first talked to you on our first show back this year, that's what you guys were going through, were learning all of the ins and outs and what you can and can't do and how to do it best. How much have you learned this year in putting on the events with social distancing efficiently?
Oh, I have told a number of people this has been the hardest year I've ever been around sports, but it's also been the most rewarding, because we'll go out and try something to say, hey, look, maybe this makes maybe this speeds our gate up, because the first thing we saw when we got back was, man, it slowed our gate down. Just from, okay, we got to do this, we got to make sure we do this. And of course, it was new to our employees. So at that point, it's like, it's going to slow down anyway, just because it's not common practice. Well, now those processes are quicker. We've learned better and more efficient ways to do that. So now we've picked back up our speed for admittance into the facility. And now we're just saying, okay, if we push the online sales more, now you have more touchless operations, so to speak. And if somebody comes in, parks their vehicle in the parking lot, walks up to the walk-in gate and just holds their ticket or their phone up, we can scan it with our new scanners that we purchased through this downtime, through the COVID program, and you're in. That's it. You walk in, you got 4 tickets, scan it 4 times, boom, you're out. See you later.
Man,
you're rolling.
Yeah, that no contact stuff. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing, Tyler, that we probably haven't talked too much about with the promoters, is that this contactless way of ticket sales, I think it's going to help the promoters in the future, because you get your fans used to buying early. And, because as I've told my boss all the time, your fan may have the money for a ticket on Monday, but you never know what's going to happen from Monday to Friday or Saturday or Sunday.
Exactly.
Now he's, if he had a little bit of a bad week, he can come and have a good night, get out of that frame of mind. That's, I just think that this is going to help in the long run.
Oh, I agree 100%. And it's always accessible. That's what I like about it is, let's say somebody goes out and comes in on a bonus check or something like that, but there's an event that's 3 months away that, man, I really wish I had tickets to that, or really wish I could buy tickets to that, or I'm going to put money back and save for that. Well, we all know this happens. I'm going to put money back and save for that. And then 3 days later, ooh, I'd like to have that.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoop, that's gone. But it's with the online ticketing, and this is something that we've learned, haven't done this year, we'll probably do next year, is we want to try to put our entire season online in January or February, to where people can say, I want to buy tickets for the Shakedown in March, and it's not till September. Yep. Well, then that's done. They have their ticket. It's in an email folder. It's on our system in case they lose the email or lose the paper or whatever. It's in our system. All they have to do is walk up and we can search their name, and boom, you're in. I think that's a positive. I think that grows the sport, whether it's round track, dirt track, mud bog, drag strip, motorsports in general. I think that grows the sport to be able to have tickets accessible at any time that a race fan comes up with an added income or a extra that they weren't expecting, that now they can use that to go to the racetrack. I don't think there's a negative in that at all.
Yeah.
And two, it obviously gives you all opportunities to streamline the ingress process too. Like,
correct.
If you don't have a line of people waiting out the door to buy tickets when they're there, and they do this online process and they show up, they go beep, and they're in the door, they're more likely to come back because it was just a easy way of getting in and out.
100%. That seamless operations of, and we've all done it. Let's face it. We've all walked up and went, man, look at the line to sit here and wait for tickets. And by the time you get up to the ticket booth, the poor little girl in there is doing her job. Yep. But you're so mad when you get there. It's like, it's $20. I knew it was $20 when I bought this ticket, when I decided to leave the house. But, man, it's $20 and I waited in line.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we've all done it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's just that extra little bit of stress, that extra pain point of doing it. And if you have this online process that people get used to, I mean, it's just an it's almost psychology, just positive reinforcement for the fans if they have a really good, easy time. And I tell people this all the time, like when we're promoting races and trying to, sell tickets at Richmond Raceway, the easier it is and the happier the person is going through that process, the more likely they're going to buy, the more likely they're going to buy more, and the more likely they're going to come back.
Exactly. And that's let's be honest, if there are so many options to do something on a Friday or Saturday night these days. can go to Topgolf.
Yeah.
You can go to the racetrack. You can go ride around in your truck. I mean, there's so many options of things to do, I guess you would say, that if your operations are difficult and it's just a pain to buy the tickets and get in the door, you've lost that fan before they ever walked in.
Absolutely.
You could have the best show in the world between the walls, but if you lost that fan at the gate or at the concession stand or at the restrooms or something like that, you've lost that fan for good. It doesn't matter how good your product is. If the things around your product isn't as good or better than the product, you don't have to worry about that fan coming back, because they're going to say, well, it's easier to get in the door at Topgolf. I'm going there on Friday night.
Sure, and to the younger generation, I mean, with everything at your fingertips and them being better than we are at technology, they are used to that, like that immediate gratification. So if you don't have immediate gratification, like they're going to associate that with, I'll go into the racetrack's a pain in the butt. I'm not going. I would rather do this.
Yep, exactly. And the thing that also that we fight is our sport is different than round track. I've said this in the last week with Richmond having the NASCAR race. Hated you guys couldn't have fans of that. Oof, I hated that for y'all.
It was weird.
But even I can't imagine. Even if there was the fan operation, okay, that race lasted. How long did that race run? Race time? 2.5 hours, 3 hours?
If that was a quick one, yes. So 3 hours around about for the Cup race, and about an hour and a half, 2 hours for the trucks and Xfinity races.
And that's where we struggle, and I struggle as a promoter, because I want to have a bunch of cars.
Yeah.
Like when I look at a race, I want to say, man, I got 250 rigs here. Parking lot looks killer. Parking lot full. This looks great. Blah blah blah. But a round of eliminations in first round takes 4 hours to run. Well, to keep that young fan, to keep any fan engaged in a race for 4 hours, and you've only run all the classes once, is probably the hardest thing I've come through with the sport. And a lot of it that I've learned is mixing the run order up to where, instead of running all your fast classes at once and then running your slower stuff in a group, to where you would think in your mind, give somebody a time to go walk the pits and all that. They don't want to walk the pits. They've already walked the pits. They want to watch racing. And what we've done, and we do it this weekend with Shakedown, is we'll run a fast class and then kind of one of our slower middle of the pack classes, and then a fast class, then a slower class. And we kind of do that throughout the event to kind of try to keep that fan engaged.
Yeah.
It's bad to say this, but at this race, we have a class that runs 5:04, 5:03 is the record in the class. That's the fastest anybody's ever gone. Well, that's the slowest cars we have on the property. and it's like, for a common motorsports enthusiast, like 5 seconds in the 8th mile, that's pretty fast. And it runs on an 8.5-inch tire. It's like, man, that's impressive. But for a fan that's there watching Pro Mod Radio versus the World Pro 275, if it doesn't have a 3 as the first number on the lap time, they're going, that's slow. Why are we watching?
Yeah, because I mean, like and this is what happened with me when I first started at Route 66 Raceway in 2015. NHRA weekend was my first weekend, and guess what I knew? Yeah, and guess what? Like, I showed up on Monday for my first day of work. It was Friday night qualifying on that Friday, and guess what I knew about NHRA? I knew that John Force drove a funny car. That was it. That was it. So,
you left Friday night going, I got the baddest job in the world. Y'all see this?
You damn right. My first snoot out. My first snoot full of nitro, man. I will never forget it. But my point is, as a fan who knew nothing about it but was still coming to the race to enjoy it, like, that's like, if you don't know anything about it, the only thing that you're coming for is that feeling of speed as a race fan.
And I will tell you this, Tyler, the first time I ever went, well, I can't say that. My dad used to drag race, but it was overseas, and it was always on a runway for an airplane, at an airport, because he was in the military. But the first time I experienced NHRA was at VMP. And they asked me to come. I had a live show. They asked me to come for do a show on Sunday morning, like I normally did. So I did it, and man, the drivers are awesome. Ron Capps and all those guys were just phenomenal. And to be able to have John Force sitting next to you. He didn't care, man. He was all for it, man. He was digging it. And then after that I went up on the roof. I had my back turned, and the funny cars were out there, and I had never experienced that before. And when they left the line, I must have jumped 10 feet in the air. It literally, I'm like, oh my God. And then the guy goes, you ain't seen nothing yet. So Top Fuel Dragsters takes me down to the tree and stands me right there with both of the. I thought my ribs were going to come out of my chest. That feeling. I mean, just standing next to them, it was crazy.
And that's the feeling as a promoter that you want to try to convey to people who have never been there before. So tell us what's going on. What can the fans expect all weekend long at VMP?
Our biggest thing at this event is the relatability to real. And this is kind of weird to say, but a lot of fans get lost in pro mod because, my uncle has a 69 Camaro, but that doesn't look like a 69 Camaro.
It does on the front.
It does in the front, yeah. Everything else is sure not. But that's what's so cool to me about small tire racing is that, I'm looking at a picture right now of Blake Copson's Outlaw 10.5 Corvette. It's a 2018 Corvette, and if you look at the car, it looks exactly like a stock vehicle that's driving down the street with stock. 2 parachutes and a spoiler. Exactly. It's far from stock. But for the general motorsports enthusiast, they go, man, that's a Corvette, or that's a Mustang, and that's where I feel like small tire racing has a tick up for a regular racing fan, because they can look at that and say, man, that looks like so-and-so's Corvette that they have. Well, then it just goes 380 at 212, and they go, yeah, that's not my buddy's Corvette. But that's one thing that I like about it is it a lot of the cars are real. They're stock cars that came out of Detroit or Bowling Green if it's a Corvette, or wherever the vehicle of choice was made, but they're steel roof and quarter cars.
Yeah.
Now the rest of it's carbon fiber and fiberglass. But the relatability to a real car is very enticing for fans. The speeds are incredible. The mechanics that that these vehicles have running on small tires that are 11, 10 inches, 8, even 8.5 inches wide, going 4 seconds, 3 seconds in the 8th mile at over 200 miles an hour. And it's really incredible. The amount of work that it takes on the racetrack side to make that little tire work is rough. I say rough because that's my job. You go home after these races and your ankles hurt, your feet hurt, your knees hurt because of so much. You have to put so much more traction compound on the racetrack to make the radial tire go down. And it's completely different than a slick, because a slick wants to kind of get a little bit of wheel speed and then drive off, so you don't have to use as much product. Whereas on a radial, it has to just dead stick the tire and then go. Because if it ever spins, it loses traction and the race is over for that driver. That's a hard concept for a lot of people to pick up, and a lot of people struggle with it. But it takes a lot of tractor time and a lot of traction compound to do that. So we try to set our classes to where we're not on the racetrack as often as other races, and then we're actually trying to put cars on the racetrack as quick as we can, run a solid program and all of that. But really just the relatability It's really fun. The drivers are awesome that drive these cars. They'll pick up your kids and let them sit in the cars, and they love it. It's funny. I have a buddy of mine that races, and he's one of the best in the country in his particular category. And most kids and parents are scared to go up and talk to people, or hey, can my son or my daughter sit in your car, and stuff like that. It eats him up. He's like, man, it makes me mad when people walk by and they want to say something, but they won't say anything. So he's really good with people, and a lot of these drivers are like that. They love the fan interaction. They love seeing kids smiling and happy, and a lot of I'll bet you half of the crews have T-shirts that they sell and stuff like that, and they'll give away half of them. That they don't care. It's all in fun and getting to see a kid smile, getting to see a teenager come out here that just got out of high school or in college, and get to see these cars and think, man, I'd like to do this one day, or just getting to have a good time. And then they walk out of here with a free T-shirt just because the racer gave it to them. And that's what kind of people that this race has, and the performances will be second to none. You'll never see another show like this in this area until we bring it back next season. Well,
the Comp Cam's Shakedown Nationals presented by Fuel Tech will be this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And folks, I'm telling you, just go to racevmp.com. racevmp.com. It doesn't get any easier. It says buy now, and you just click on the little button. That's it.
Yep.
All right. Take out your credit card or your debit card and put the numbers in there, and bam, you're done.
And show up.
Got your ticket.
Yeah, print off.
Yeah, then show up.
Yeah, show up. Yeah, we want you. Yeah, they want you to show up. I tell you what, Tyler, it's always great to have you on. There's, I don't know, Brandon's over here. The energy level, just when it went up, right?
Yep.
So
I think he's if the missus will allow, I think he's convinced me to try to stop by this weekend at some point.
Come on, both of you. I got your names at the gate. Y'all come on.
There you go.
We will have a ball, I promise you.
Sounds good, bud.
Folks, he is Tyler Crossnoe. You can see him working his butt off
this weekend.
this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Virginia Motorsports Park for the Comp Cam Shakedown Nationals presented by Fuel Tech. Thanks, Tyler.
Anytime. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
All right, bud.
See you. Bye.
But I'm gonna tell you what, that dude is awesome.
It's guys like him, and I admitted my ignorance as I started my drag racing work and working with drag racing and stuff. It's guys like him who helped me learn about the sport and helped me enjoy it. The energy that he has is infectious.
Well, we're gonna keep this show rolling.
Let's roll, man.
Let's just keep it rolling, because we're gonna go to the phone lines again and talk to a kid out of Lynchburg, Virginia. Drives the number 5 JF Electric Chevrolet Camaro for BJ McLeod Motorsports. He is Mr. Matt Mills. How you doing, Matt?
Doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
We couldn't be doing better.
Yeah, man. Sounds like pretty good. Doesn't quite explain how good you were this weekend at Richmond Raceway with a pair of 13th place finishes. We'll jump right into it and ask you about those two impressive runs in the Virginia is for Racing Lovers 250 and the Go Bowling 250 on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, it was just, a weekend like that is almost a win for our team. It's been a rough 2020, just trying to catch a break. We've had ups and downs, and to really just come this weekend, we didn't do anything special. It's just a track that I've always really liked, and I was fortunate enough to have some tires to go along with it, which is really important at Richmond. And we just went in there with the attitude that we were just going to have a good weekend, And so we've had some unfortunate this year, so walk out of this weekend with, 2 top 15s was, like a win for our team. We were up there passing people with 10 times our budget. And, it just was a great weekend. Everybody was ecstatic, all the text and everything that I've got over the weekend and all the support that I've seen just really showed, that, our race team, we're not usually up there running that well, but it shows that we can if everything goes right and we put our mind to it.
And I've noticed, for anybody who doesn't know, 2 13th place finishes are your 2 best Xfinity Series finishes in your career, save for your 10th place at Daytona. And I've noticed that the team is just by finishing is slowly improving. But to jump up from, say, running in 30th place, running in 25th to 13th, how big was that for the team, and what do you attribute that to?
Yeah, it's all season long, like, we've been better as a team. We've showed speed throughout the year, to run top 20 to top 15 times and stuff. Something has always happened in the race for the result to just not show it there. And it was, this past, before Richmond and Darlington, we finished 22nd. We should have been about 17th, 18th. But, that was still good momentum for the season that we've had. And, the week before that was 16th at Daytona. So, this back half of the year, we're starting to build a little bit of momentum. We've kind of got that, bad luck or whatever you want to call it off of our back, hopefully. And, we're finally showing what we've been made of all year. We just, we had some unfortunate that kind of, didn't get the results that we actually showed that we're capable of. And this weekend we finally we had, everything go right. Team did everything that they could. I feel like I still made a couple of mistakes, but I just went in there with the attitude that I was just going to drive hard, and I know that we can do this, and it just really paid off. So, it's cool to be up there racing against those guys, and you pass the 98 car, the 22, and you're like, man, I know what those rides cost to run, and it's like, that's where all the compliments come in from, big guys in the sport. So, that was very cool, and it really pumps up the team when they know they go to the track and, they're not just a 25th place team or whatever. They're like, we're on a top 15 team if we can get everything going right.
The average fan I don't think it really, the average fan understands the economics of racing and how a team goes about what they do. I heard a great explanation for the Cup Series. I would imagine that the Xfinity Series is the same, that some teams can have more, end up having more tires because they have more budget. They have engineers. They have a whole lot of other items that maybe your team, BJ McLeod Motorsports, doesn't have.
Yeah, no, for sure. Our race team, we run 3 cars, and I think we've got about 14 people across all 3 of them. So, we kind of don't have quite the personnel, some of the resources that, these bigger teams have, simulator time throughout the week, pulling the race cars down all the time. And, we don't have that. So, we've got to go about different things and different routes. And basically, we really don't have tire money every week. Richmond, we didn't even have tire money for the second day, but because we ran so well the first day, that, gave us a little bit more of a budget for the second day to go buy some more tires. So that's really just how we have to operate, is week to week, to try and run with those guys. We can't go out there and be wrecking race cars all the time. So sometimes you'll not be so aggressive on certain moves that you want to make because you got to have that same race car the following week. So that's another thing that the big teams, they can go wad one up and they'll have one ready to go the next day. So we can't do that. And yeah, there's different programs and motors and those big guys just buying tires and stuff. So it's hard to compete with, but we showed this weekend that we get the little things that go right, and we can do good things.
Yeah, that even was magnified this weekend because you had a night-day doubleheader at Richmond. So, one, you had to turn the car. Your team had to turn the car around from nighttime to daytime overnight. And you also had, as a driver, to know that you've got that car for the weekend. So how difficult for that was that for you as a driver and as the team to turn the car around?
Yeah, so that was our last doubleheader. Fortunately, this year, all of our doubleheaders, my car hasn't been needing any work for the following day. So we've done a good job there, just kind of knowing what we had to do the next day. And, the further I got up, we had to start dead last the first day because we had an unapproved adjustment that, mechanical, something went wrong, we had to fix. So we had to start dead last, and I was like, I'm going to just kind of be kind of smooth here. And, we fired off 5 laps into it. And I'm like, man, we got a good car. And so I started getting a little bit more aggressive, and we cracked the top 20. And I was like, man, we're way faster than this. I know we've passed more cars, but at the same time, I got to be smart with it. So, and that's Richmond's kind of like, we all seen it this weekend. It's turned into, I don't want to say a safe place to race, but, there's more spots, to stay out of the way, or, there's just, you can fight a loose race car all day long and still feel in control, whether you're at a mile and a half and you're loose and side by side with somebody, like something's going to happen. So Richmond, you can be a little bit more aggressive with that. And, it was definitely important to, keep that on our mind on the first day, just making sure that, we didn't have to pull all nighter trying to fix that race car, because we had a backup. But, with our situation, like our backup, we get it as close as we can as being ready, but, sometimes we don't have all the parts to make it 100% complete. So you got to swap a lot of things over. So that was very important.
Moving to a little bit different topic, you talked about handling a loose race car. You started your racing career in go-karts when you were younger. Tell our listeners, your path to the Xfinity Series, hometown Lynchburg, Virginia, and then just take us through that path, because frankly, I want to know as well.
Yeah, my dad raced motocross, so we were always in the racing. We loved NASCAR and everything, but I originally kind of grew up he started me on a dirt bike when I was 3 years old, and did that till I was about 12 years old, and somehow matured and seen all my dad's injuries and stuff. I was like, what? I don't really want to be part of that. I see how he gets up out of bed in the morning and stuff. I was like, I don't want to be part of that. So we switched to go-karts when I was 12 years old. We had a track about 5 miles down the road and just fell in love with it. And, just kind of kept progressing. We were doing good. Went into modifieds when I was 14. That following year, we were testing late models. Then we raced late models until I was about 17, 18. And before you know it, we were getting very fortunate with funding and everything. And we're like, with the funding that we've got right now, let's go try and do a one-off truck race. Let's just go, do it. And we ran one truck race, and that turned into another one. And before you know it, I'd ran 4 truck races within 3 months or so. And that was like a blessing. And we just kept following that dream. I always wanted to be a NASCAR driver as soon as I took my first lap in a go-kart. So it was just very fortunate to have all the opportunities that I got growing up.
Last year, you got signed full-time by BJ McLeod Motorsports to drive the number 5. What was that feeling like for you? I mean, obviously you were excited, but and it's kind of fulfilling a dream that I'm sure you had as a kid growing up. Doing modifieds, late models, whatever. What was that feeling like when you got that phone call?
Since my very first truck race, I've known BJ. He kind of came over to me when I made my start with Bobby Daughter, because he kind of seen me over there. He knew I was nervous and stuff, and he was super humble. He came over and talked to me and tried to help me out, coach me a little bit. And So I've always been close to BJ, and I've always, I was fortunate enough to run a couple of races with him in 2017. And, when you get up to the Xfinity Series, prices go up a little bit. And, to sign that full deal last year was just a dream come true. I couldn't have done it with, a better team owner, him and Jessica. And they, treated me like their own. They do a lot for me. So it was cool to just, be like, hey, I'm a full-time NASCAR driver. Like, I'm doing this for a living. And for them to just take me in like I'm their family, it's, you feel more relaxed in the situation. But you also have to remind yourself, like, hey, I made it to this point. Like, this was my dream as a kid, and being able to do this is, a blessing.
What is BJ like? Working in the sport, I've never talked to him, but he looks like a total badass. And is he out inwardly like he looks on the outside?
I mean, to a certain degree, he's definitely not a guy that you want to go up and just start trash talking.
I wouldn't think so.
He's like, if you just go up to him and he's super great with fans. He's, me and him, we hang out every other day. He's just a super humble, cool guy. We just, he's just, just an average guy. He may look like not the quite average NASCAR driver. He's into a lot of intimidating stuff, I guess. You can go about whatever you want to say about it, but no, he's just a super humble guy, and he's just fun to hang out with.
Another story I wanted to touch on too, because a few years ago you were driving the number 8 car, and a certain driver who we all know wanted to have that number back. So how was the conversation, and were you a part of the conversation with Dale Jr. when he wanted to come back and have the 8 car run for his team?
Yeah, so originally, when we signed that deal to run full time last year, it was projected that I was going to have the 8 car, and it was probably a couple weeks into it after we signed the deal, and BJ calls me one day and he's like, "Hey, Dale Jr. is wanting the 8 number back." And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. But I was like, so what number am I going to be? And he's like, well, I'm thinking he's going to trade us out for one of his numbers. And, my dad wore number 5 when he raced motocross and everything. And I was like, you know what? Like, can you try and get that number 5 for me? And so we were able to do that deal. Dale Jr. was very cool about it. Obviously I understand why he wanted the 8 back. And I was like, if that's sentimental to him, like, maybe he can give me, the 5 number, which is kind of sentimental to me. And he was very cool about it. And we made that swap, and I was actually very happy about it. So,
well, the one thing
I didn't mind giving my 8 to Dale Jr. So
the one thing about that is that certain numbers look fast. Mm-hmm.
Right.
A 5 looks fast.
Yeah.
I don't care what font you use; it still looks fast.
Right.
So that's a cool number. It's nice to be able to make a number your own. Because the 8, is kind of associated with Junior.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have a number that you can associate with yourself. We talk about it all the time, Matt. We were trying to add up all the current Virginia drivers in Xfinity and Cup. This state has produced a ton of great drivers. Whether and you're one of them. You are a part of our Race in Virginia family. Hopefully this won't be the last time we talk to you. Our job here is to promote drivers and tracks and of all kinds. Like we're going to be talking drag racing next. But
we talked drag racing previously.
Previously. But the thing is that we want to make sure that the fans out there understand that Virginia is badass, straight up badass, because we have some of the best drivers in the country, right here in our state, that are competing every week in Xfinity and Cup and Truck.
Right. No, it's definitely produced a lot of them. I'd say Virginia's for racers, not lovers. So.
I like that.
Yeah, we're gonna. By the way, we'll probably end up using that in the Open. Virginia's for racers, not lovers. But it's also for racing lovers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any combination.
Yeah, any
of those,
combination of that.
Those two, but
you can pick and choose around Valentine's Day what you want to use.
Perfect.
You had a great weekend, and that was, one of the things that kind of jumped out at us. To be honest with you, I had no idea that you were from Lynchburg. Because a lot of guys like you've moved to North Carolina, and that's kind of where everybody goes, "Hey, he's from Concord, North Carolina." No, he's not. He's from Lynchburg, Virginia. And people don't realize that's a small little town. It's not a huge town, but it's not a small one either. But that's because my sister lives there. So I know where it is. It's so great. To know that we just added another Xfinity driver that I had no idea was from the state of Virginia. And I should, to be honest with you, I apologize. I'll apologize to you straight up because I should know that. As long as I've done racing,
a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, it does get a little. Like I was in asphalt racing. I announced at South Boston for a long time. Then when I switched over to the dirt, I kind of let the asphalt stuff go. But now, over the last 3 years doing the show, we talk a lot of asphalt racing. So it's great to know we have some great young talent, and we hope that we see you climb the ladder, and we hope to see that number 5 do very well, BJ McLeod Motorsports, because the dude is cool and he's cool looking.
We hope the best for you both.
Yeah. So
thank you very much.
We can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your schedule to visit with us, man. And we look forward to having you back on. Welcome to the family.
I appreciate that, guys. Thank you for bringing me on.
Folks, he is Matt Mills. Of course, drives the number 5 JF Electric Chevrolet Camaro for BJ McLeod Motorsports. And yet another kid.
23 years old.
I can say kid.
He's a kid.
You can say kid too. A lot of times I can't say kid. You can't. I can.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
There's just so much talent here in this state. It really is.
Very, very cool. Very cool. He did Racing Virginia proud on Friday and Saturday.
And by the way, folks, we've got numbers for a lot. We got Jeb Burton's number now. Man,
it's like we're creeping on him.
And I will tell all the fans out there, I have some former drivers that aren't driving, that have retired, that we're going to start a little segment with where are they now kind of thing, and have some of those guys on. And I'd love to get Tommy Ellis on. Oh my God, that'd be a good interview. I don't think he'll do it, but
oh my God.
I don't know. Well, he's very private. Tommy's very private. We're gonna keep this train rolling.
Speaking of Tommy's,
we're gonna talk to the owner of Virginia Motorsports Park, of course, Tommy Franklin. How you doing, Tommy?
I'm doing good. Good to talk to you.
By the way, we had talked. I didn't know it was going to be this early because we wanted to have you back on, because I don't think we scratched the surface in our last interview, because we talked more about you owning VMP.
Yeah.
Well, when it all comes down, you are one of the country's top pro mod drivers as well. I'm going to say this: your VP, Tyler Crossnoe, kind of threw you under the bus a little bit earlier.
Oh no!
And he said that we should talk to you about last year's pro mod versus radio versus the world.
That's the way he wants to throw things around this week, huh? We can get him too.
So Tommy, let's talk about it. So what happened? Well, I know it. We all know what happened because Tyler told us.
We want to hear it.
We want to hear it from you. What happened? You hole shot him. All right, you almost got him. You almost won.
I did. Yeah, man. The simple answer that everybody probably wants to hear is I got beat. All right, I can say that. That's okay. The truth there, the rule sets are different on those cars. But I'm not taking away. Marcus Burt's a bad dude. They've got those things are fast. They do. I mean, he's running Pat Musey power.
Yeah.
He's got Stevie Jackson over there tuning with them. They're super fast. So not taking anything away from them, but I will say this. Set that thing beside us on the same scales with the same rule set on weight, and I will bury that thing every day.
Let's talk about this. I mean, this Pro Mod that you drive, and by the way, everybody, Tyler goes, a lot of folks go, oh, that doesn't look like a Camaro. I said, well, hell, if it don't, you look at that thing, and you think that thing coming at you looks like a 69 Camaro. I know, I had one.
If the thing's coming at me,
yeah, you're
I'm
right,
out of the way.
That's right. But the 69 body does. They did a really good job of making that as close to as, and of course there's stretched wheelbases and things like that. So, but that's what's always been cool about Pro Mod is you got wild bodies and stretched in bodies and things like that. So, we've got our classes out there like Pro Stock that has more of a stock wheelbase and factory appearing cars. So, Pro Mod's always just kind of been that wild and stretched and chopped and this and that. So, but the 69, in my opinion, is very similar to the factory body. At least it's recognizable, and that's what I love it. There's new body styles out there and things like that, but I struggle to go that route with the Pro Mod car just because I think of the old shoe boxes and the Willies and stuff like that. So, but it's just preference. There's a ton of them out there, and we like variety, and that's what's cool about it. So.
The Pro Mod has always, like from what I've been watching, they have some of them that have even older body styles, don't they?
Oh, they do. Yeah, there's a lot of like 41 Willys bodies. There's the 57 Chevrolet, the 55s. There's a lot of them. But then you get the new Camaro bodies. You got the Dodge Dart body, like Lizzie Musey's car. There's just a ton of them, a lot of different variety and stuff. So that's what's cool about it is, seeing a bunch of different style stuff. And there's a decent amount of 69s out there just because, probably the same reason that was probably one of the most popular cars in 69, right? It's just it's a good looking ride. So.
For the fan out there, because we really didn't touch on the driving part of your career. You're a former champion in PDRA, and you've gone under 4 seconds quite a few times. What is it like to drive that your car and to launch it off the start finish line? Kind of go through what you're thinking when you're getting pushed up there, when you do the burnout. Kind of give us an idea of what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think just from the time you fire the engines and you roll through the burnout pit, that's when the adrenaline starts to pump, and you smoke the tires on it, get a nice burnout, come back, purging nitrous. All these things are just building it. You can imagine, right? Just the adrenaline's building, no different than you sitting there watching. The adrenaline's building, you're purging the nitrous, you're keeping your composure. You've got somebody beside you that's doing the same thing. Mind games come into place there. You're going into stage and who's staging first and things of that sort. And then when you leave, I mean, these things are wicked, man. They do. They leave. They're nasty, and you get out, you leave, you clear about 60 to 100 feet, and then all of a sudden the lockup torque converter comes in, and oh boy, you better hang on because that's when the ride really starts getting fun. You'll see, especially the Pro Nitrous cars, you'll see those a lot of times you get out there and kind of hike the front wheels up about 100, 150 foot and carry them to 300, 330 feet. And it's a ride, man. It really, really is. It's cool car to drive. And about time all that settles down, you're clipping the 8th mile cones and got to get chutes out and get everything stopped. And so from the start to the finish, it's, you often wonder what happens inside. Are you breathing? Are you not breathing? What are you doing? But it's just amazing. It's a cool feeling. I love driving. I've learned to love tuning. I really love tuning, so it's just both sides of it. You pick at these things and it's like, all right, I just went 366. How am I going to go 364? How am I going to go 362? And you pick away at these things. And when we get air conditions like we're starting to get into this time of year, that's when the excitement really comes, because it's like, oh boy, can I burn the scoreboards down or not? So.
For drag racing, humidity, temperature, all that plays into account of how you set your car up.
Oh, a ton, yeah. So, tune up on the engine is critical. With that, you can be making good power, and then you've got to rely on racetrack, and it's, hey, do we have a lot of sun out? Is the racetrack temperature hot? Is it not? I could throw a blow in on Tyler Crossnoe right now, but no.
He did say that's his job.
That's right. That's his job to make sure the racetrack's decent, but he does a good job on it. We go out there and but as a driver and as a tuner, you're relying on that racetrack, and I think everybody would say the same thing. Good or bad racetrack, we just want the same racetrack every round. Mm-hmm. Because it's hard to tune when you're getting something different. But we do. On the PDRA side of it at Virginia Motorsports Park, and, Tyler wants the best racetrack out there every single time. But, when you're racing in temperatures of 130, 140, 150 degree racetrack temperatures, that's just hard, and you're, measuring power to try to get the car down. But when we get those under 100 degree racetracks and you got, 1,000, 1,200 foot of air, oh boy, it gets exciting. it's just like, what are we going to do now?
As we say in the round track stuff, when it's a little chillier, that cold air makes a lot of power.
And if I'm looking at this this weather correctly, the high temperature on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is going to be 68 degrees.
Oh my gosh! Say it one more time. One more time.
The high temperature on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is going to be 68 degrees.
That's right.
You got him all, now. You got him all jazzed, man. He won't be able to work the rest of the week.
I might as well just go ahead and start right now. You're right. So what's cool about that let's be honest, from a racer standpoint, that's awesome. You can't ask for nothing better than that. But what about the fans, the spectators? They can come out and enjoy something without sweltering heat. Yeah. And, we talk about it all the time. The racing world's changed, right? And there's so much more to do and so many things to do, and you can get automatic updates and see the results of everything instantly. But you can't replace that when you sit there and watch and smell and see and hear, everything that's going on at the racetrack. So 68 degrees, there's no excuses. Get out of the house, bring the family, come out and watch the races, because this is the baddest thing you're ever going to see, and never forget it the rest of your life.
This is what I talk about all the time, because as with working at a round track, and it's the same for your drag strip, is that hot weather, really, really hot weather, it might as well be raining. Because that's how
it might as well be. You're right.
That's how some of the fans treat it. It's, oh God, it's going to be too hot, man. I don't want to go sit out in them grandstands or walk around in the heat.
Yeah,
it's the kind of the same mentality as if there's a high chance of rain.
Yep.
So
it is, and partially you get it, but at the same time, I think the difference is they're 20 years ago there wasn't the options of everything else to do. So if you wanted to do something, you're going to go sweat in the racetrack, and that's what we did.
I got to go back to the Pro Mod versus radial versus the world. You got to want revenge and payback, right?
Always.
He keep it simple.
Because Tyler was telling us because I guess you're drawing pills to see who you go up against, and I guess the world kind of just aligned. The top guy in radial versus the world and the top guy in Pro Mod, which was you, pulled the same pill, or was actually now I'm thinking about it. It sounds like a setup.
Dude, Dave, I am not joking. If you were standing there watching this, you would have swore that it was a rigged deal. So, and I watched Tyler. I'm sure that I didn't see anything shady that he did, but I'm telling you, it was by chance that we were going to get lined up, and that was what everybody wanted. But we're sitting there, everybody drew their chips, and we're watching, and they're like called out, all right, who's got number ones? And those two drivers stepped up, and number twos, number threes, and I'm going, oh my gosh. Why is it me and Marcus standing there right now? I was like, this is really going to happen. We really didn't think it was going to happen, but, guess what? It is here. It's happening. And that was a heck of a race. You know, I mean, that was what was really cool. Heck of a race. And, you know, the big tire versus small tire debate's always out there. And, you know, we've all got our sides and our picks. But the bottom line is the cars are awesome, and they all go fast. So being able to line up beside those guys and race with those guys, I love it. And I love any good competition. You know, there's no doubt. And it's all good competition. So, but do I want revenge? Oh, yes. You know that. So.
For the sake of entertainment, we hope you get the opportunity.
That's right. I was, you know, it's funny because we sat there and I watched it's a really cool deal because all the big tire cars, right, we all became on the same team. So what usually is our competitors that we're trying to cut their head off, now we're all on the same team. And then all the small tire guys, they're on the same team. So it's us versus them. I watched the first pair go out there and the second pair and third pair, and all of a sudden the big tire cars are up. I'm like, oh, yeah, look at this. And I come up there and I'm like, I lose it for him. And didn't lose. We you know, the big tire still won. But, you know, I did not want to bow down at any way, shape, or form. So it was, but it's really cool to see everything, just to see how people want to be on the teams and stuff like that, and to watch all of my competitors. You know, we're all on the same team and cheering for each other to win. I was like, this is really strange, but really cool. So,
well, I want to tell the fans, you know, if you've never been to a drag strip and watched a race, this is one of those. It's kind of like NHRA, you know, coming to VMP. This is one of those type events. The Comp Cam's Shakedown Nationals presented by Fuel Tech. Folks, the weather is going to be beautiful. You have no excuse. There's not an excuse in the world.
As Tyler said, the ticket buying process has been streamlined. You can get right in.
You know, they have COVID protocols. They have stations for sanitizer. You know, it's all there, folks.
Yep.
You have. and if
you're gonna have to give Dave a commission for this one.
And look, I'm just telling you right now, the energy that Tyler brought.
Absolutely.
The energy that Tommy brought.
Yeah.
That should tell you something.
Yeah.
The owner and VP of Virginia Motorsports Park, the excitement level they have. That's the kind of event, folks, that you are going to have. You're gonna be. This thing is gonna be badass. It's 16th through the 19th, and the ticket buying process couldn't be any easier. There's a big yellow button that says "Buy here."
right online, and you can come in, show your ticket. You don't have to wait in line. You can just come right in.
Look, there's even a racer pre-registration. So, folks, head out to Virginia Motorsports Park and see Tommy and get revenge. Get payback.
That's right.
Get payback.
We're going to make our best attempt. That's for sure.
All right.
Tommy, man, it is always great to talk to you and Tyler, and we look forward to having you. I hope that you guys have a badass event this weekend. Really do.
That's right. If I get revenge, get me back on soon. If not, don't call. No,
we'll keep up with you here.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, bud. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All righty.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. Seriously, if that energy, I mean, you can hear them, both of them.
I wonder
what the conversation is going to be like with Tyler and Tommy when he called. I bet he's going to get on the phone. I bet he's on the phone because you threw me under the bus.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Well, we did warn Tyler that we were going to tell Tommy, so he's ready for it.
Look, there's great racing everywhere this weekend. At every track, they're going to have beautiful weather. I think Franklin County has monster trucks this week, which VMP has the monster trucks next week. But the Comp Cam Shakedown Nationals presented by Fuel Tech this weekend. It says Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Is that it? 16th to the...
Yeah. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th.
Yeah, it's 4 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Perfect. Yeah, that's right. And by the way, if you want schedules to any racetrack, it's up on racingvirginia.com.
Yep, we got links to all of them right there.
And we have plenty of social media.
at Racing Virginia on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
And more importantly, you can go to your favorite directory now and get our show. Folks, that is, we're making, again, no excuses.
You listen to the show and then go to VMP this weekend.
If you listen on Apple Podcast or Spotify, please make sure you give us a rating and a good rating. Yeah, we hope a 5. Give us a 5. Come on,
high 5.
Because the more 5s we get, the more we show up in the
algorithm pushes us to the top.
And the same thing with reviews. Give us And if you got something bad to say, just don't say it. No,
but if you do have something bad to say it nicely.
Say it nicely. Or better yet, send us an email, info@racingvirginia.com, and tell us what we need to do better for you.
Sounds good. I do have something nice to say.
What?
It is Brandon Brown, not me, his birthday today. Happy birthday,
Happy
Brandon.
birthday. We should have had him on.
Yeah. he might be I don't know what he's doing right now. I should text him. He doesn't want to be bothered at 9 in the morning on his birthday.
A lot of racing going on this weekend, folks, and we have a lot of drivers that we want to cover. Go ahead.
Speaking of one of the drivers that we want to cover, one of the drivers I want to give a shout out to this weekend is Jeb Burton, who in limited time in that 8 car, he was bad fast this weekend at Richmond too. Drove up from the back of the field on Friday night, had some mechanical issues that kept him out of the front of the field, and then finished a career best 2nd place behind his teammate Justin Allgaier on Saturday in the Virginia is for Racing Lovers 250.
Let me tell you something.
Badass job, Jeb.
You couldn't ask for anything better for him. Because he has had, he's been in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yep. That car has had incredibly bad luck all year long. And
he's and it just shows he's a good driver.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And given the circumstances where you don't get caught up in somebody else's stuff, you're going to do well. So congratulations, Jeb. We're going to get Jeb on, by the way.
Yes, we are.
See, I'm telling you, we have a plethora. The amount of people that we need to talk to. The short track drivers, the Xfinity drivers. I'm still trying to get Denny Hamlin.
The golden Virginia Goose, as it were. Maybe we'll get him after he wins the championship this year.
Look.
Maybe we'll get him after he enters the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
No, we're going to get him before the end of the year. We have to.
That's bold. That's a bold
Come on now.
Son.
Why wouldn't he want to be? This is a badass show.
I know. I'm on it.
But hey, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, the list goes on and on and on.
Just search for us, you'll find us.
All of you will probably want to do. Most everybody does Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Probably.
Yep. I'm a Spotify guy.
I'm an Apple Podcast guy.
See? Yin and yang.
Yin and yang. There we go. As always, we can't thank Matt Mills, Tyler Crossnoe, Tommy Franklin enough for coming on and taking some time out of their schedule to visit with us. Yep. There's some great content in there. We're going to have some good stuff coming up on our social media channels for you. And for Brandon Brown, I'm Dave C. Thank you, the listener. And remember, keep racing, Virginia.